Hey MGTOWs, this is Vention. Just enjoying my Sunday afternoon. It's all nice and green out there. Looks like there's a neighbor's cat exploring my yard, which is good. Just not much is happening. It's kind of rainy out there. Just pigged out on a pizza bought with my Bitcoin Visa card. um, I did want to cover just a couple things. Nothing really earth shaking. Um, One of those things, I'm not sure if I've covered it before on this channel, uh, is colloidal silver. Basically, I bought this machine back in 2008, 2007, somewhere around there. It's called Silver Gen, and it's kept me very well supplied with colloidal silver for about for I don't know, quite a while, about maybe 9 years so far, 8 or 9. Um, and what it is a topical antibiotic. It was really popular back in the 1800s, before the pharmaceutical companies came up with like penicillin and stuff like that, right? And the advantage is it's really cheap to manufacture. This machine, it just has two little silver electrodes, and it's got this little stirring thing that keeps the colloidal silver stirred, and that will basically keep it circulating so that the two electrodes can constantly be creating those silver colloids. A colloid is a very small conglomeration of matter suspended in like a fluid like distilled water. And it's really good for knocking out bacterial infections and fungus infections, I've discovered. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan. And all of these medications and antibiotics and whatnot that the pharmaceutical industry profits on so much, a lot of those things can be rendered unnecessary if you use colloidal silver. And I only use it topically. Some people drink it, and but I see no reason to do that unless I had some kind of intestinal problem or something. But everybody always comes up, or all these commercials or these websites circulate this one guy who had like this thing called Egeria. What he did was he made his colloidal silver with tap water, and that has minerals in it, and the silver bonded with the minerals, then the minerals are absorbed, and then he went out into the sun, and worse yet, he rubbed the colloidal silver all over his face. Then he would go out into the sun, and it would develop like a photograph, and he turned blue. And the pharmaceutical industry would fly him to all of these medical conferences so that he could show the doctor his blue ass, right? And get all the doctors like totally against colloidal silver. But it's just another ploy that the pharmaceutical industry uses to suck money out of uninformed, totally asleep, dancing with the stars sheeple. Those people are just asleep at the switch, and they just get exploited, and just their wealth and their energy and their life just sucked out of them by more well-informed people running corporations and whatnot. But if you're an outsider like me and most MGTOWs, you don't have to live like that. You can look at other alternatives, and while these people are watching Dancing with the Stars, you can be studying things like this and enjoy the benefits of a better life. And for example, let's see, I keep colloidal silver in this little nasal sprayer here, and I actually use it as a deodorant. You can couple of shots under your arms, and you're fine, except in the hottest time of year when you're working hard physically, like like in the middle of July and you're sweating your ass off, working physically hard, then you can start it, overpowering the colloidal silver. Maybe it washes it away or something, but then the bacteria come in and start making that underarm odor that everybody knows about, right? But that's just one thing. And the reason why I'm bringing up colloidal silver, I mean, it's an important thing for people to know, like MGTOWs especially, because we have the ability to capitalize on this sort of thing and really benefit because we are aware and awake enough to take advantage of other options rather than just having our money sucked out of us by the medical industry and pharmaceutical industry. But the reason why one of the reasons I'm bringing it up is that I've been seeing these people who are ex-smokers running around with these vaporizer things, and they breathe these vapors that deliver nicotine to their system. I don't need that, but that looks like an excellent way to deliver colloidal silver vapor to your lungs, right? Now, in the wintertime, when you get that crud, you know, that coughing, goop generating, sore throat crud in your lungs that can last like 3 or 4 weeks. I've seen, you know, people are always walking around in the winter. Blah, blah, blah. Well, colloidal silver is excellent for knocking that down, right? And usually I have a kind of an awkward nebulizer thing that works, but it is not optimal, right? But those vaporizer things, those things look like they would be awesome. And I was wondering if I have any smokers in amongst my subscribers who can recommend a good vaporizer that I could pour colloidal silver into to knock down that yearly crud you get in your lungs. So that would be highly cool. Also, I've had, I mean, it's great for like eye infections, or if you get like a cut on your fingers or something that's really infected, you can soak a Band-Aid in colloidal silver, the pad, and then put that puppy on, and it soaks the cut with the colloidal silver throughout the night while you're asleep, and it will knock an infected cut down hard and fast. And if you have fungus infections on your fingers, like where your skin cracks and bleeds all over the place, like I have, I've been using it for that for just a few days, and man, it really knocks it down hard. I don't know if it'll get rid of it completely, but man, I am really pleased with the results. So if I had athlete's foot, for example, I would buy one of those little foot things where you can put your feet in the thing and it heats up the water and it vibrates or something, and and then you could put colloidal silver in that. Soak your feet for like a half hour twice a day, and man, that would knock funguses down. There's websites about that. And of course, the pharmaceutical industry that profits from selling us medications and creams that only work half-assed and might take 3 years to get rid of your infection, those people are against colloidal silver. Duh! Of course. Okay, that was the colloidal silver part of what I wanted to talk about. I'll put a link to the Silver Gen thing, and if you have an extra $250, you could buy one of those machines. But if you don't want to invest that, you could go to any health food store and buy a bottle of that stuff to experiment with, and I think you'll be pleased with the results. But a vastly cheaper way of making it or getting it over the long haul is to get a machine like that. I mean, that thing's still going strong after 8 or 9 years, and I highly recommend it. Let's see, what else? Let's see, a couple months ago, back in August, we had a really nasty crash in Bitcoins, and I wasn't able to get the, let's see, Bitcoin crash. That was a very nasty looking graph. And this was back in August, and it looks like it dropped down to like 570. Now, problem was when the price dropped that far, man, I tried to get into Coinbase to buy more Bitcoins and I couldn't get in. They were swamped, man. People were either buying or panic selling or something, but I couldn't get in. And I think I ended up getting in back at like 590 or 595 or something. And I got a couple more Bitcoins, but I didn't get the bottom, which was 570. Man, that would have been nice. Man, I remember back in 2015, I was buying Bitcoins for like 220 or 230, and I knew it wouldn't last. I mean, I was telling people to buy it while they could, and I knew darn well that I would feel nostalgic about $200 Bitcoins when they're gone, and they are gone. I doubt we'll ever see those again. So, Bitcoins are coming back up. Good times. We're at about 730 or so, and the halvening occurred a couple months ago, like in the summer. So the Bitcoins generated every 10 minutes dropped from like 25 Bitcoins down to 12 and a half. And over the next year or so, well, we're already seeing the nice price rise, but over the next year or so, we're going to see just a general upward pressure in the price. And when these banks start going bankrupt and doing bail-ins and confiscating people's money, and when capital controls come in and prevent people from sending money out of their own countries, and when China continues to devalue the yuan and screw their own people over, robbing them of their wealth, that's just theft. It's just disgusting theft. But when those things occur, they just get pissed off and they get their money out of their local funny money, and they put it into things like Bitcoins and silver. If they got some brain power going for them, they'll do that. Let's see, and we're back up to 730. I would not be surprised if we see $900 Bitcoins by the end of the year. Wouldn't surprise me a bit. I would be surprised if we go over 1,000 this year. I suspect we won't see that till next year. Probably fairly early next year, but that's just a guess. I'm a diesel mechanic and I suck at predicting things like this. The only thing I can do is watch trends and how things have gone in the past. Like, let's see, 3 days. Basically, man, $150. Wow, that was a very low spike right there. But we had like $200 Bitcoins most of 2015. I was sometimes buying 5 or even 6 in a month. Man, those were the days. But now I'm sitting on all those gains, and these gains here are going to look like the original gains before the 2013 run up. But these gains, this looked like a really huge chart back then, but these things don't have to be. I mean, it could be 10, 20, 30 times what it is now, and it'll still be a fairly stable currency. And it'll look like this. And people say, "Well, Bitcoins are expensive." They were saying the exact same thing back here. So, Bitcoins, as I've been saying. That said, we might be in a short-term high price. We might come down to like 675 or something again. And I've got a paycheck coming up in the next day or two, and this is my extra check, right? The check where my mortgage doesn't come out of it, so most of it is surplus. So, man, I'm kind of on the fence. Should I buy more Bitcoins or should I put it into silver? Silver is coming up a little bit, but we won't see serious gains in silver until the bankers start to lose control, right? And until what you call it, until their manipulation can be decreased. What's going to happen is um, the banks are going to do bail-ins, and people are going to get laid off, and brokerages are going to go out of business. And when that occurs, people will lose confidence in the conventional economic system, and they will then want to move their money out of dollars and into something they can control personally, like bitcoins or silver, right? And last time, during the last recession, the 2008 recession, they what was happening was the electronic price started diverging from the physical price, and then um, we had like big markups on physical over the spot price, and at that point the bankers were stuck. They had a choice. They could either they could either uh, they could either allow the electronic price to go up, and then that would make their stupid, lame investments in uh, WorldCom and Enron and stuff. Those things wouldn't look as good if they had silver really going up on the electronic price, right? Or they could or they could keep the electronic price low, and uh, and then people would eventually figure out that if they bought electronic silver, they would be buying fake electronic silver whose price never goes up, right? And then people would sell that shit because it's garbage, right? And buy a physical. So they were forced to make that decision. They could either allow physical to go up, electronic price to go up, or they could let their market just implode, right? Because there would be a big run on the market because people would cash out, because it would be useless to hold fake electronic silver that doesn't ever go up in price, right? So they opted last time to allow the electronic price to go up to like $48 an ounce, and a lot of and it was really sad because a lot of preppers, right, and silver stackers and libertarian types, they allowed their greed to get with them, I guess, and they just kept buying. I mean, they bought before the 2008 recession, then they bought going into the recession, and all the way up till 2011 at the high, and they were still buying at like 50 or $48 an ounce, and then the price started going down in 2012, and they kept buying. Then 2013, and the price was just going down to down, 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 and they were buying and buying, saying it's going to be $10,000 each. But I mean, they're probably right, but the bankers are really going to have to lose control for silver to really go off, right? But they can do a half surrender, right? They can kind of bend instead of break. And we might see that, we'll almost certainly see that in the next couple of years, where the bankers, where people are starting to buy a lot of silver because the banks are not dependable anymore, and then they will end up emptying the physical market, right? And then the price for physical will go up dramatically, because in order to meet that demand, capitalize on that demand, the price will go up, right? The bankers can either break or bend, but either way, people who hold physical silver are going to make some money. But for bitcoins, we might be at a short-term high, so I might put some of my surplus income this paycheck into silver and stack a little bit more. Maybe I'll buy some Bitcoin too, but it's hard to tell. So, because right now we might be on a short-term high. It's kind of hard to tell. Okay, that's the second thing I wanted to cover, Bitcoins, right? Here I'm probably talk about this until you're sick of hearing it. Sorry. Okay, second thing I wanted to talk about was an interesting show that I just started watching called Humans. I've got Amazon Prime, right? So I can watch the show for free, right? So I don't even have to torrent it. Not that I would ever do something like that, nah. But this is an interesting show, and I'm not sure who, if any of you are watching it, but it's it's kind of funny because oh man, sorry about this focus. Sometimes I have to kind of tap on the camera in order to get it to focus. Okay, sorry about that. Well, anyway, this is sort of the star of the show. She is Anita, the robot, and it's kind of funny because the wife feels very, very threatened by this freaking robot when the husband brings it home. With good reason, because the robot cooks better than she does. It's better with people. Even as a robot, it's better than with people than she is, pretty much. And it's better looking than she is, and it's just some funny shit, right? I mean, if we ever get robots of this sophistication, man, women will be screwed. And in this series, right, halfway through the series, there was some couple of interesting things. There's some kind of irritating things, which are, of course, as this show is like from the UK, and it's part of the conventional culture, right? Male sex drive and male sex is like highly demonized and considered evil and wrong and shit, which is pretty typical. But but it's kind of amusing because with these sex bots, I mean, there's like bots that actually there's like brothels with sex robots in them, right? But there was a teenage kid who's socially awkward who went to a party, and immediately this girl wants to hook up with him, right? And I looked at that thing, and I was like, man, that is so unrealistic. That is so completely unrealistic that a really cute girl would want to hook up with the socially awkward teenage boy, right? But then I realized, in an environment like this where female beauty can be manufactured and the male sex drive can be satisfied by very sophisticated female robots, right? That would probably put a real hurt on the female entitlement thing that we've got going right now, you know? So I thought, well, maybe that's not terribly unrealistic. So I'm not sure if you guys have seen it before, but...
You brought it into the house and we don't know anything about it.
It's a machine.
That's a robot that kind of freaked out. Okay, but anyway, I find this series to be really good, and except for the fact that they demonize the male sex drive, and there was a couple of really awkward, cringe-worthy moments between the two males in the family, the husband and the teenage boy, because the robot is absolutely gorgeous, right? And then, of course, if anybody even looks at the freaking robot, the women have a shit fit. So, and then, I mean, in my opinion, I mean, if it's an actual robot who's designed, you know, to be able to have sex and all that, it's like women considering porn, a guy looking at porn, to be cheating, which is completely ridiculous, of course. And and then of course when women read 50 Shades of Grey, they don't consider that cheating. Double standards. But I got a way to solve that problem. It's called MGTOW. Okay, well, this is the series Humans, and I think it's a lot of fun. I like it. Okay, back, and the last thing I want to cover is a YouTuber which I was introduced to due to the fact that she's really into Bitcoins, right? Called BraveTheWorld, and she is making a heroic attempt to be very logical and very objective when it comes to relationships between men and women and whatnot. But she is educational on two different levels, right? She is educational in what she talks about, but it's also very educational to see the holes and the inability for her to really understand what it's like to be a man and our position in the society. And she oftentimes looks at men as outsiders who are like not they're like a force of nature, something that she doesn't really understand. She talks about how men can marry, and then when the woman gets old, he can kick her out of he can divorce her and move on to another woman, and another younger woman, and trade her in for a new model. And she was going on like that, and she didn't even mention seizure of assets and child support and alimony. Up here in Washington State, we don't call it alimony. We say we don't have alimony. What we have is maintenance, which is alimony. But and it's interesting to see the times when she is unable to understand the male side of this equation. But she made a pretty darn heroic attempt, and I think that this video of hers called Female Mating Strategies is worth a watch. Now, when she attempted to give an overview of MGTOW and the men's rights movement, she fell flat on her face hard and then bounced down the stairs and hit the wall. and it was really sad. She made an attempt to understand it, but she had some shaming language going on, and she just failed, right? But and then there was a comments that were a lot of fun. There's a lot of simps who follow her, probably licking the screen during her videos or something. But basically, this one was pretty good. I think I'll leave a link to it. Other than that, I'm just gonna continue filling out my voter form over there, and make sure it's mailed in time to get counted, and hopefully the Hillary criminality in the election will not totally knock Trump's chances out. But here's hoping. Man, another 4 years of Obama in the form of Clinton? Fuck, that would suck, dudes. Yeah, okay, well, I guess I'll let you go, and don't get married.